Now, I don't know how things are in your country, but here, a couple of years ago, people were very excited about going electric. Like everything that was working on gas, if you could change it to electric, people would try and do so. And this was actually grassroots. It wasn't because of Greta Thunberg or anything like that. People from Eastern Europe, they're a lot more pragmatic. And what they realized is that the people who actually switched to electric, they were paying a lot less. So everyone thought that it's a good idea. And I'm not going to lie, I was one of them. It wasn't with an electric car, but it was due to the fact that since I'm buying a new house, since I'm making a down payment, might as well get an induction stove and get an electric oven and change as many things as I can to electricity. Now, like many other people, myself, have also discovered the downsides of doing this because the media wouldn't tell you. And it's something that you probably wouldn't find out unless you're doing it yourself, because even with research, most of this stuff doesn't come up on Google. So the moment I found out that going fully electric is bad was after I bought the house. I had my parents and my relative coming over, and we were doing spring cleaning, and we were getting ready for setting up a big feast. So the induction stove was working, the oven was working, the television was working, and the computer, as well as the washing machine. And guess what happens? All of a sudden, power outage. Just poof, massive. And you're like, whoa, like what happened? Because you know that the electrical system is new, you know that everything is supposed to work fine, and it's like, why is it doing this? So, you know, we restarted, we fixed the problem, and then we put everything back in place, and then poof, power outage. So we discovered that, yeah, it's not a good idea to actually run the electric oven simultaneously with the induction stove, simultaneously with the washing machine. It was just basically like too high demand of power. Now I don't know if this happens everywhere, but take into account that my place was pretty new. So they didn't do a bad job with electricity. In fact, like the electricity doesn't go down for this reason, unless like I actually plug everything and I run everything. But take into account that there are places, especially in Europe, that are very old, and they were built in mind with the fact that the person may need a lighting bulb, a television, and a refrigerator, and that's it. So the more you add, the more you diversify your energy, the more likely it is that what happened to me would happen to them. Now, apparently there are ways around this, like you can pay the electric company more and they can do some, I don't know, technological stuff in order to get your house right, but now you're paying extra. And the whole reason that people are going electric is to pay less. So this was like number one, the first issue. The second issue has to do with the Ukrainian conflict. Like all of a sudden, electricity prices are spiking. So the idea that electricity is cheaper, well, the more people that go electric, apparently the supply and demand exists. Like we still live in a capitalist society. And the price of electricity just goes up and up and up. So the idea that, oh, you're going to electricity and it's convenient, well, now it seems people aren't so sure anymore. They generally don't know. And finally, it's the issue of convenience. Now here in Germany, and this is what actually got me started, is the fact that electric vehicle sales are dropping. And in the European Union, in some cases, the EU is actually trying to use taxpayer money in order to make these things cheaper, to subsidize, right? I don't know if it's the auto industry itself, but like they're doing it for solar panels and other shit. And despite this, despite the fact that they're doing their best, people still aren't buying it. Despite the fact that they're trying to tax gas cars and they're trying to make it more difficult to have certain cars that are manufactured before a certain year, people still don't buy the electric vehicles. And the answer for this is the inconvenience. Like the people who buy an electric vehicle quickly realize the things that aren't advertised. And I remember seeing an American politician, I think it was Kamala Harris if I'm not mistaken, who tries to use an electric vehicle and to charge it like the same way you pump gas into a car. And they're like, well, no, it doesn't really work that way, right? Like with The gas station, you go there, it takes like 5 to 10 minutes to fill up the gas gallon and you're gone, right? And you find gas stations everywhere. Like, it's almost impossible to get into a place where there's no gas stations for hours. But to find charging stations, that's a little bit more difficult. I'm not saying that if everyone wasn't buying electric cars, that in the future, you wouldn't have, like, electric stations everywhere. But currently, especially in some cities or some rural areas, there's no place where you could charge your car, except if you build one next to your house. And then you have the same problem that I did. It's like, okay, you're charging the car now, so make sure that you're not also using the oven, and you're not also using the induction stove, and you're not also using the washing machine, right? And it takes a lot of time. Imagine if you forget to charge it. So it's the inconvenience aspect of it. It's obviously the performance aspect of it is not as good as the other. A lot of these electric vehicles also have various spyware installed that other cars don't. Like finding ways to repair it, also difficult. There's a lot of inconvenience that people find out just by using it themselves. And once people find out these inconveniences, even if you shut down conversation in the mainstream media, even if you shut down conversation on social media, word of mouth still exists. Because, like, what happens is someone buys one of these cars, and the next thing is, like, people asking them, so how is it? Should I buy one? Like this is the normal way. Like, in fact, most people who want to make a expensive investment, like buying an electric car, the first thing they do is they ask someone else that has one. And if they're very rich and they just bought a car in order to show off how environmental friendly they are, probably like AOC, then it doesn't matter, you know, like, oh, well, I'll just buy one like a jewelry, like a piece of accessory so that people can see I have one and I care about Mother Gaia. But for the rest of us that do not have the wealth in order to afford something like that, we are going to actually ask, it's like, okay, you have an electric car, how good is it? And then there's also the stigma against having electric cars, because in my country, again, I don't know how things are in yours, but like in my country, because there were no charging stations available in the beginning, I mean, there were a couple, but not sufficient enough. There were many people that would take their cars to apartment complexes that did have those charging stations and charge it there, causing the price for the people living there to actually explode. And it caused a lot of arguments. It caused a lot of social friction. Theoretically, it's not even legal to do that. Like, I don't know the law, because you are kind of stealing power, right? Like, if you live in that building and you're charging your car, well, you're paying for it with the rest of the people that are living there. But if you don't live there and you go and you use their charging station, it may actually cause problems. But yeah, it was in the news that some people were doing that. Like, they were going in the middle of the night to various places in order to charge their cars. And it's not that they didn't live there, but like, they may have known someone from that apartment complex, right? So you go to visit that person, and while you're there visiting, you're charging your car. So like, what can you do with these people? It's like, they're guests for someone else, and you know, you can tell that other person, hey, if you have guests, don't let them charge their car. But you're going to cause social friction. You know, they're going to say, what the fuck are you on about? This is my grandma. Like, look, grandma, charge your car. Why are you being a piece of shit, right? So you're causing like all of this social friction that shouldn't exist in the first place, which does give a stigma towards people that have electric vehicles. So yeah, I'm not surprised that we witness a 69% drop. And there's going to be another interesting time, because now the European Union is subsidizing solar panels. So basically, it's really cheap to install solar panels on your house. I'm curious, like in 10 years or so, when people will have to replace these panels, when they will notice the problem, it's like, oh, you have a hail, or there's a nasty winter, and you know, like, they can get damaged or something. And then you're going to see all these people realizing, okay, so what do I do now? How do I even get rid of them? I don't even know how you can get rid of them, to be honest. Because the law in Romania is that when you take out the garbage, and this is like true for most of Europe, but like when you take out the garbage, you have to take it, and you know, you put the plastic on plastic, you put this on this, and you put the glass on glass. Where do you put the solar panel? Like, most people don't even have cars big enough in order to transport it. So like, sure, you can contact the company that will bring you the solar panel to your house. Like, you can do that. But I genuinely don't know. Like maybe there will be in the future. But like right now, I don't know who you can call in order to get that solar panel off your ass. And even if you find someone or you have your own car, like, where are they going to take it? Because again, like, I don't know if there's any place. Like, I'm sure there is, but it must be like next to big cities or something. Like, if you're in a rural place in the mountains and you have like 4 or 5 solar panels, how do you dispose of them? And you know, surely you can find out the way, but how much is it going to cost just to dispose of them? And the hassle and the work required, and how it's going to look after. You know, like, all of these are things that people will find out soon enough. And once they do, I don't know if the solar panels are going to be as attractive as they are now, which is why the government and the politicians will constantly try to subsidize these things and to make any other option less appealing by taxing it, or in some cases even making it illegal. So it's going to be interesting to see what the future brings. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I'll see you in the comment sections. Take care.